Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to do a story time talking about my labor and delivery story. It all happened March 13th, 2018. This little bundle of joy right here, who's eating right now, was born at 9:25 p.m. Yes, she was. She was 7 pounds and 2 ounces. And look at her. She's just a blessing. Sorry about that, guys. So where was I? Hi, Bubba. Hi, Bubba. So on March 13th, 2018, my little daughter, Miss Callie Fortson, was born. Yes, she was. And she's just the best. I love her so much. What was I about to say? It all started with me having contractions around 6 that morning. And I was on doing like my regular little schedule. I took my boyfriend to work. I came back home, but as the process is before we left the house, I get up and I'm like feeling cramps, and I'm like, okay, well maybe this is just like the little cramp feelings that I've feeling before. Maybe it's just Braxton Hicks contractions because it is 2 weeks before she's, you know, due. So I called my doctor before we left, and I was like, I'm having like sharp pain, you know, like pains, like period pains. They're kind of close, probably like 10 minutes apart or whatever. She's like, oh, it's nothing to worry about. That's Braxton Hicks contractions. I'm like, okay. So I ended up, I just took him to work. I got out the car. I'm like, oh, something's not right. So I called my mom. I told her. So she ended up coming over here that same morning or whatever. And so it's like I still have, now I have mom brain. So she came over here, her and my auntie, and did a little straightening up, and then was helping me out. And I'm telling them, like, I think something's up. I'm having pain, and they're kind of like, it's close. It's not just spread it out now. It's hurting to the point where I can barely eat my food. So she's like, oh, you're okay, you know, go lay down or go get in a tub. You're fine. You should be all right. So I'm going upstairs. I'm sitting in the bed. I'm like, okay, something's just not right. This is too close. So time went on, and I ended up getting in the tub. And I'm like, no, this is just not right, because I shouldn't be feeling these pains this close. Like, I barely been in this tub for 10 minutes, and I feel pain getting closer and closer. So I'm like, all right. I get up out the tub. I ended up getting dressed, and my mom left, and my auntie was here. So I'm like, we have to go. She's like, yeah, I think it's time for you to go, because them pains are your contractions is too close together. They're almost at this point 5 minutes like separation. And so I'm like, oh my God. I'm kind of nervous, but I wasn't. I think my auntie was more nervous than me. She was more so in the labor than I was, because I'm like, okay, you know, I think I'm ready. Let's go to the hospital. So we ended up going to the hospital. She's pushing me in the wheelchair. We get there. The nurse comes in and was like, she checks me and everything. She's like, oh yeah, this baby's coming today. You're 5 centimeters dilated. And I'm like, oh wow, really? I'm like, I knew something was wrong. Like, I knew deep down, I knew it was about to be the day that she was going to come to the world. So my auntie calls my mom and everything, and then my mom and my boyfriend, they get there. And so we get admitted, and then we get into the room. They hook me up, and they was like, so do you want an epidural? And I'm like, yeah, I think I want an epidural. So they was like, okay. So we get the process started with the epidural, and it wasn't bad. Like, I really wanted to go without any type of medicine, drugs, or anything like that. But once I start feeling those contractions getting closer and closer, I'm like, oh, I don't know if I could do this. I don't know if I could do this without any type of medication. So I ended up getting the epidural, and I mean, it hits fast. Like, it hits fast. At this time, when I get this epidural, it's about 6-7 p.m. And so we're just waiting around. Hi guys, so I'm back. Miss Callie is right here. So where was I? So basically I got my epidural, and around this time it was about 7:30, 8 o'clock. So we're just waiting around. They had me on the monitor to check my contractions and everything. My whole bottom half was so numb. I mean, it was so weird. It was tingling. My feet were tingling. My legs were tingling. I'm like, oh my God, this is something different. Like, I never experienced this type of anything. So 9 o'clock comes. Was it 9 or like almost 9? They came and they checked me again. She's like, oh, okay, you're 6 centimeters dilated. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm laying down sleeping. It's like I started to feel like something was coming out, in a sense. It was like, it was a weird feeling. Never felt it before. It was like weird. So basically, once that happened, it's like time just started to speed up, and like my contractions started to speed up. Next thing I know, the nurses and stuff were rushing in the room, and I'm like, what is going on? What do they know that I don't know? So she's like, oh, you're 10 centimeters dilated. When she came back and checked me again, I'm like, oh, okay. So she's like, it's time. You ready? I'm like, I mean, yeah, I have no choice now, do I? So they tell me I basically scoot down a little bit. I lay back and I start to push, and it was like the craziest thing ever. Like, I never experienced, like, thought that experience would be the way that it was. Like, I see all of these shows and people's, you know, tell me about how their experience was, but mine was nothing like theirs. Like, I wasn't screaming and yelling and crying and none of that. I was just calm, cool, and collective, you know, triple C's. Like, I was ready. I mean, she was ready to come out. So basically, they get me ready. They tell me to start breathing. You know how, like, you... So basically, oh, Miss Callie, it's all right, baby. So I start pushing. It took me about 6 contractions and she was here. Like, it was the most easiest labor experience that I probably will ever have, because, you know, they say, oh, your second, third is never this, nothing is never the same. So I'm expecting that to be that way. But yeah, it wasn't bad. I was so happy. She came head full of hair, and it was just, it was wild. It was something to, a memorable experience, you know. So yeah, I'm trying to think, is there anything else that I'm forgetting? Her father, oh, that was a funny experience. Like, this being our first child, like, it was an experience. We would definitely have to have a sit down and let him tell you his side. But yeah, my labor and delivery wasn't bad. It wasn't. The only thing that I would have to say that I hated the worst overall, over everything, was the fact of the after part. Like, when she's here, you have to take care of period care. It's like, with this, she split me. I got about probably 3 stitches, because they said it was tiny split. Like, it was so tiny. But it's like that at the part, you have this funny walk that nobody really tells you about. You have them keep coming in, pushing on your stomach to make sure, like, everything is out. Like, nobody really tells you, like, all of those things that goes on once you are in labor. It's like things that are left unsaid, you know. So I didn't expect that, other than, like, to be in pain, yeah, but not to be, like, having ice packs down there and thinking that it will help, because my experience, the ice packs did not really help for me. We also had the witch hazel and all of that, but that all basically, I had an allergic reaction to that, and then I had an allergic reaction to Percocets, and it's like all narcotics they had to stop giving me, because I had like a whole all over body reaction. So I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, the meds was really working for me in the pain, because without those I could barely tolerate, I couldn't basically I don't know what I'm trying to say. I just couldn't get up and walk normal without the medication helping me, because the Tylenol and the Motrins, they weren't doing anything for me at the time. But yeah, that part after babies is like the hardest that I would have to say, but I love her to pieces. I wouldn't change it for the world. Look at her. she's knocked out. But yeah, I would have to say that my labor and delivery wasn't bad at all. It wasn't. So yeah, so if you like to hear any more stories or any sit downs, just leave a comment in the description box below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys later.